One of my favorite things to affirm is that my mind is a sanctuary. Because it is. Within my mind are only peaceful thoughts about myself and about my world. I love balance. Balance in everything, balance in light and dark, good and bad, life, death, God, devil, heaven, hell, man, woman, masculine, feminine, above, below. All of these are demonstrations of balance. The universe being the master of balance, the existence of two complete and total opposite forces of nature that form a perfect union when put together. Absolutely divine. And that's why I believe in true love. That's why I believe in marriage as a woman. Just because I believe that all things are one and all is balanced, and that there is a natural duality, that as human beings, duality is a part of our nature. And because I am a feminine, I know for a fact that there is a divine masculine, another half, the opposite of me that completes me, who is a man. So for me, marriage isn't even really like about the legal stuff and all of the superficial aspects of marriage that have canceled that like make it canceled, marriage being canceled by the new age and the 21st century brains of society that are like anti-marriage. Yeah, guys, I can't get with that. I was totally born in 2001, so I'm like a baby. Still, I am a growing woman, okay, at the same exact time, and I can form my own beliefs. I could think for myself, absolutely. And sometimes it's okay for me to not go against what is considered progressive. If it doesn't fit my best interests, me being anti-marriage right now just doesn't help me at all. Why? Because I'm a lover and I want to fall in love with a man. I want to marry a man. I want to be a wife. Absolutely. Being a wife is one of my dreams. It's one of the things that I dream about. Of course, I'm going to be open about that and vulnerable, because that is the type of love and the type of space and type of environments that I want to create, that I want to be in. And I was thinking about fame today. This is totally different tangent, okay? I just closed the door, opened up a new one, walking into a new conversation, new topic, new subject. All right. Fame. I was thinking about fame when I was on the toilet, right? Check me out. And I got my red sage. I'm like using my red sage and everything while I'm on the toilet. And I started thinking about fame. And I started thinking about how I used to perceive fame as a problem, an obstacle that I needed to get over. I saw fame as a hindrance to my success. And then today, I had this revelation, this realization that fame has all the potential to be the solvent, the solution to a lot of questions and mysteries and unknowns in my life right now. I have so many things going on in my life, so many different journeys, roads, and paths that I am aligned with in terms of my talents and my gifts and my creative endeavors, that I'm like, well, how is that? And in reality, being famous, I think, is something that I have always... I feel like fame is one of those fears that I've had to choose to actively face. And it's so interesting because when people normally ask me that, and they're like, what's your biggest fear? Cliche and stuff. And I'm like, I don't really got any fear. Why would I fear anything in a life where all things are all that I am? So I normally just say, I don't have any fears, and that's it. Except fame, okay? I can openly and blatantly admit that, just because fame just I think is something that you have to allow to be like a completely original experience for you. For me, I've internalized all of the experiences and beliefs of other people when it comes to fame. So it's been a journey of reintroducing myself to this idea from an open mind, an open heart, and being like, okay, how do I master fame, right? If I can come to perceive it as the solution to problems, right? Going from seeing it as the problem and then seeking answers, and then having not necessarily problems, just gonna use that for the sake of this, like, for the sake of this argument, right? Having problems and then fame being the answer that I seek. And so the truth is, I have to create the environment. I have to actively co-create my fame and mold it and sculpt it to be what it is that I desire, what it is that I need. Because in reality, all things are working in favor of me and all that I am. All things are working in my favor, the highest favor. And so that means that in some way, the experience of fame was always intended to serve me in the highest way. It was always intended to be something that worked for me, you know, and that was always a blessing. So that means I have to allow myself to let go of any preconceived notions or beliefs or ideas about fame so that I can cultivate a better pattern of thought, and manifest higher beliefs so that fame is something that's more of like a tool than like my whole entire world, you know? Because life is more than being famous. I think being famous is kind of like a background noise for sure. And that's kind of like how I think about it now. I used to see it as like the stereo, the big speakers, you know, that are like pumping the jams. No, now fame is like a background music. But, you know, the thing about background music is that it's literally catered to you. It's supposed to be catered to you. It's your life, you know what I mean? So fame should also be like that. It should be your own experience, your taste, something that you curate. And then I started thinking about music and my feeling about music right now. And how I really don't want to be a part of the industry. I really don't. You know, recently I just fell in love with Janet Jackson. And it was a spiritual awakening for me. Because the love was also a death. It was the death of all of my previous inspirations who were actually just duplicates of Janet Jackson. In their style, in their aesthetic. People that I loved, man, and then they died, and then the original Janet Jackson, I had got introduced to her by someone that I love, and oh my goodness, she's everything to me. And I just cried and cried and cried and cried and cried and cried because being born in the 2000s, you are so like misled by social media and just culture today, because everything is a remix. And on top of that is remixes where people kind of are almost like giving the impression that their work is the original. You know what I mean? Like, it's work that isn't really given like complete and total credit or justice to the person who first did it. The person who first did it and first set the standard. And I feel like the industries, they contribute to this experience of finding duplicates before discovering the original. And then on top of that, the like duplicates, the imitations are romanticized. And that's what I was trying to explain before. That it's romanticized. This like copy remix of the greats and then passing it off as new. I don't like it because I feel like it is the definition of oppression, and a lot of the reason why we live in lower states of consciousness as a collective. Why, like, as a collective, our consciousness is lower because we don't value originality as much as we should. And Lauryn Hill, I also like properly rediscovered Lauryn Hill, because I knew a little bit about Lauryn Hill when I was a little girl, just that I was a little girl. And so my influence was Nicki Minaj. So now that I'm a 22-year-old brown-skinned woman, right? Growing woman, I rediscovered Lauryn Hill after this period of time of feeling like you couldn't turn poetry into music. Like, turning poetry into music was a sin. That's how I felt. Now, if I had known about Lauryn Hill, I would have known that poetry is meant to be turned into music, if that is what you desire. You could do anything with your poetry that you desire, really, because it's poetry. It's universal. It's a universal tongue. And that's what I got from Lauryn Hill. And that would have been so like valuable at the time where I was trying to do whatever I want with my poetry. I just didn't feel like that was reality. Now I know. And I'm so thankful that I've had so many awakenings and revelations and deaths in music where I'm discovering the source, you know, like the core of what it is that inspires me, whether it's hip hop, whether it's R&B, whether it's pop, you know what I mean? Like, I value finding and discovering originality because I think that's my love language. Originality, for sure. It's the most creative, and I feel like it's what God intended, for creation to be original. And so when I hear certain things, like, let me give an example of what it is I'm talking about. Jack Harlow has this song that's like a remix of Fergie. That song was like, first class, in a sky, and champagne. And he like remixes it, and I just feel like that was inappropriate, him to remix that song, because I love that song and I feel like it was so beautiful and it's original. And just the fact that there are children who are going to listen to that and probably think that Jack Harlow is the first one that did it, it just makes me so sad. It's so heartbreaking to fall in love with the imitation of a thing. It makes me so sad, because I feel like hip hop is original. It's born of the original human, the original being. And so the fact that there's so many people who are okay with things not being original, it just is like, nah, I don't really think the industry is for me. For real. And then the other part of me is like, okay, well, what if my voice is supposed to be there, you know? What if my voice is what stops the duplication, you know, the imitation, the mockery, you know, of the original? That could also be it. I think I just value the truth in its highest form. can also be defined as understanding. And I feel like when society does all these remakes, you are less likely to have a understanding of yourself, because what you're observing isn't original, and the self is original. Like, we are original beings. We were made to be original thinkers. So when society passes off remakes as originals, it's like literally hiding the knowledge of self, I feel. You know what I mean? And I just think that everyone in the arts should always strive to do original things. And I feel like, yeah, remaking something could be super, super cool and super, super dope. And maybe it's something that no one has ever remade. That still doesn't make it original, bro. Still doesn't make it original. It just means you're the first person to not think for themselves concerning a certain, like, piece of artwork. You know? No offense to Jack Harlow, though, you know what I mean? It just turns me off, man. It turns me off. And it's not even just him. It's just musicians and artists in general. Even actresses and actors, when they take on roles that have been done like a million times, or stories, or, you know, directors and writers, they redo stories that have been done so many times, and it's just like, originality matters, man. It's more important than relatability. And I feel like that's one of the things with society. We value relatability more than we do creativity and originality. You know, we don't value first times anymore. That's just not the type of world that I want to live in.